Welcome to the Liberated Life. Get ready to free your mind, body, and spirit in business and pleasure. Now here's your host, Robin Quinn Keene.
Hi, and welcome to today's micro episode of the Liberated Life. It's great to have you here. My apologies for not dropping a podcast last week. I caught a bad cold. I think it was a back to school cold. And so I had a sore throat and very little voice by the time I got to the middle of the week. Feeling much better now, and I thought I would drop in a special micro episode. And today's topic is about confusion. But before I do that, I just have a special announcement. I have just launched Digital Detox Secrets. Now, this is based on my 5-day digital detox that I've done as a challenge on Facebook, and I've had a few hundred moms go through it. It's very simple, very quick, 5 steps. You could do one a day, and within a couple of days, you'll start feeling better about how much time you spend on your phone and your kids spend on their screens. The goal is really to help you see what's going on, how often you engage with your phone, and it's probably more than you think. It's usually the feedback I get. And then we follow that by taking a look at distraction and interruptions and where those come from and how to slow that train down and get more focused on either work or on your kids or both. Then we talk about using tech at night. We talk about setting tech-free hours. And then we talk about all the pockets of time where you actually don't really need your phone. Now, I think the bigger consideration, even beyond me, in my life, is my grandson. He's 8 and he really loves being on a screen, whether it's his Switch or my iPad or his tablet. It takes a lot of work to break that habit. So that's what I'm here to help you do. Help you dial back your use of tech and use it, but not be ruled by it. So go check out Digital Detox Secrets. I will put the link in the show notes. That's my big announcement. Super excited about that. All right, so let's talk about confusion. Now, I don't know about you, but I hate being confused. I really despise confusion. And confusion can come up at lots of different points for many different reasons, as you know. So you can be reading a recipe and be confused by it. That doesn't mean the recipe is bad or anything is wrong, but you can read a recipe and be confused. Or you can read a paragraph in a book and have to reread it a couple of times. I mean, it's easy to get confused by different things. I think what has way more charge to it is when we are confused by people, by the actions of other people. When you look at something that someone said or did and it doesn't match up with your understanding or expectation or your feeling about that person, and you're like, wait, what the heck was that? That's really confusing. When you look at confusion and how it shows up in your life consistently, or if there's a pattern of confusion, that's what I'm really talking about. And what I'm pointing out is that sometimes we can use confusion as a way of excusing ourselves from life. Now that's extreme, but we can use confusion to stop us from doing something. So let's go back to an easy example. A recipe. If I am confused by the next step in a recipe, I'm probably going to stop making that recipe until I can figure it out or figure out a workaround. But it will stop me for a minute from moving forward. If I'm changing the oil in my car and I am confused about the very first step, it will stop me from finishing the job. So confusion is a reason to stop moving forward. If I am confused in a relationship, whatever that relationship is, I don't know what to do next, so I will stop. The question is, what do you do next when you're confused? If confusion has become a habit or a way of being in your life, there's a good chance that when you're confused, you don't take the next step forward. The next step forward would be asking for clarification in any of these situations. What do you mean? What is next? Can you please explain this? We get out of confusion by asking for clarity. When you feel confused, do you judge yourself for feeling confused? Or do you blame others for feeling confused? And what I mean by that is, I know someone who feels confused a lot, and she is very judgmental of herself for feeling confused. Now, she knows that there's an aspect of her using confusion as an excuse for, and I'm just not that smart. I don't know how to do the next thing. Can you please do it for me? She knows that's happening, but there's a lot of negative self-talk around her experience of confusion and what she has told herself about not being smart enough, not being capable enough. So we can blame ourselves for confusion. We can also blame other people for confusion, for our feeling confused. We blame others. You confuse me. I don't understand you. You never are clear. Those are the kinds of things when we blame others for our confusion. And how do we get out of that? Once again, we ask for clarity. Now, being confused too is also perception. It's a perception. And what I mean by that is we are meaning-making machines. Human beings want to make and attach a meaning to everything that happens. So sometimes when we attach a meaning, it's not to our benefit. It causes more confusion. So we have to be really careful about when we're confused. Is it a perception? Is it our perception? Is it unmet expectation? What is going on underneath feeling confused? I'll let you just play with that. And if you have questions, reach out to me. So the journaling you can do around feeling confused is, where does confusion show up in my life? So you can look for patterns. Are you confused around certain people? Are you confused in certain situations? Sometimes getting out of confusion is just a matter of getting clarification, getting further instructions, getting a little more information, asking someone what they meant. That can really help. But just look for it. And you can probably notice if you stop and look at confusion, if it's possible you're attached to the feeling of confusion because it gets you something, gets you out of something. And the next question is, how does confusion stop you from having what you really want? Great thing to think about. And finally, what would it be like to claim your knowing and get clarity? Confusion is a very interesting thing. I certainly can see times where it's shown up in my life. I've become really, really good at asking questions because I hate confusion so much. I would rather feel like what I would have called a dingbat when I was a kid. I would rather feel a little bit like, okay, this might be a dumb question, and everybody will tell you there is no dumb question, but I'll press in and just say, can you please clarify? I need more clarification. Can you please explain? And sometimes we just never really get to know. Things happen and we will never know why. So we need to come to terms with confusion and find a way to say, I'm okay with not knowing. I'm never going to know. These things happen and I can't know. I would rather come to that conclusion and let it go than continue the swirl of confusion. I've been there. I was there when a relationship ended very unexpectedly at one point in my life. And twice actually, 2 different times. And I spun in confusion. Once for a year or two, once for many, many years, until that person re-entered my life and we got clarity on what actually happened. Confusion is not a fun place. So the more we can do to get clarity or understand that we might never know, those are both helpful things. So that's it for today's micro episode here on the Liberated Life, talking about confusion. This Friday night or Saturday morning, I'll be back with another episode. It will be a longer episode because I have a guest, and I'm going to have a couple of guests over the next few weeks, but this micro series will continue. I intend to get through all 40 of these cards with you. Now, if you're interested in the card deck itself on an app, you can go to deckable.com, search for me, search for trigger warning card deck, and you'll be able to pick this up and have it right in the palm of your hand anytime you want it. All right, everyone, have a great day. See you soon.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also get more great information at quittingculture.com.